Our next topic is endocrine glands. Glands means secretors. The parts of the body which secretes something are called glands. Like sweat is a secretion, it is secreted by sweat glands. Milk is a secretion, it is secreted by milk glands. Tear is a secretion, it is secreted by tear glands. And endocrine means, endo means inside, crine means secreting. The glands, the types of glands which secrete inside, and inside means the blood. The glands which secrete inside blood are called endocrine glands. These glands, endocrine glands, release their secretions directly into blood. Hence, endocrine glands are ductless. Duct means a tube. Less means no. Means endocrine glands do not have duct and they do not release their secretion through the ducts, but instead they release their secretion directly into blood without the help of ducts. The other type of the glands is exocrine glands. The exocrine glands release their secretions into ducts. Means exocrine glands are ducty or ducted. They consist of ducts. They release their secretions not into the blood but outside the body, outside an organ or outside a tissue through the help of ducts. Exo means outside, crine means releasing, gland means secretor. The part of the body which release their secretions outside the blood into the ducts are called exocrine glands, which release their secretions outside the blood into the ducts which empty outside are called exocrine glands. The examples of exocrine glands are sweat glands, which produce and release sweat through the ducts to the outside of the body. Sebaceous glands, which release sebum or fat. Milk glands, tear glands, liver, pancreas, etc. Exocrine glands produce their secretion and after the production of their secretion release them by ducts to the outside or to the outside of the body or to the outside of the organ or tissue which is producing. But endocrine glands as an opposite release their secretion into the blood, and it is done directly with the help of ducts. The secretions of the endocrine glands are always called hormones, as a contrast to exocrine glands. In case of exocrine gland, the secretion of sweat gland is called sweat. Secretion of sebaceous gland is called sebum or fat. Secretion of milk glands is called milk. Secretion of tear glands is called tear. Secretion of liver is called bile. But in case of endocrine glands, whatsoever is the type of endocrine glands, always the secretion of endocrine gland is called hormones. And hormones are specialized chemical messengers. These are chemical messenger molecules which are produced by endocrine glands and released into blood, which go to their target tissue or organ. When a hormone reaches its target tissue, it shows its effect on just reaching the target tissue. And there are many endocrine glands discussed in your book. The importance of endocrine glands lies in that endocrine glands help in and regulate growth. A hormone of endocrine gland called growth hormone helps in the growth. Endocrine glands also help in reproduction. Hormones, testosterone and estrogen as well as progesterone help in reproduction. Hormones also help in cell division, through which new cells are produced. Endocrine glands or hormones also help in a process called metamorphosis. This is a process which occurs in smaller animals, in most invertebrates and some vertebrates also. Metamorphosis means the change during the developmental stages of an organism from an immature to a mature form, which also uses hormones from endocrine glands. Even some unicellular organisms produce hormones to communicate with each other. Moreover, the migratory birds which take their seasonal routes from one place to another for mating purposes or for food purposes, these birds, the migratory birds, also use hormones as a clue to their mates or the site of the food, which help them for their survival. So this is a brief introduction to the endocrine glands, the comparison with exocrine glands and hormones, as well as the importance of endocrine glands. Next topic is pituitary gland or pituitary gland. There are two pronunciations: pituitary gland or pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is an important gland of the body. It is an endocrine gland. Present near hypothalamus. An endocrine gland present near hypothalamus is a pituitary gland, and the shape of pituitary gland is like a P. It is P shaped. As a pea consists of two parts, very similarly, there are two parts of pituitary gland. These two parts of pituitary gland are anterior lobe of pituitary, which is also called anterior pituitary, and scientifically speaking, anterior lobe of pituitary gland or anterior pituitary is also called adenohypophysis, because in scientific terms, in technical terms of science, pituitary gland is also called hypophysis because of its location near the hypothalamus. The second part or second lobe of pituitary gland is called posterior lobe of pituitary gland or posterior pituitary. Scientifically speaking, posterior lobe of pituitary gland or posterior pituitary is also called neurohypophysis. Pituitary gland is called master gland of the body because pituitary gland produces two types of hormones. One type of the hormone produced by pituitary gland are tropic hormones, and other types of the hormones produced by pituitary gland are non-tropic hormones. Tropic hormones are the hormones whose target are other glands, other endocrine glands. Tropic hormones target other endocrine glands means pituitary gland controls by the help of tropic hormones the other glands of the body. For example, thyroid gland is another gland, another endocrine gland like pituitary gland, but the functioning of thyroid gland is controlled by a tropic hormone produced by pituitary gland, and that tropic hormone is called thyroid stimulating hormone, about which we will also discuss. Non-tropic hormones are the hormones of the pituitary gland which affect directly on the body without the help of the other endocrine glands. Tropic affecting directly other endocrine glands, and these control actually the other endocrine glands. That is why pituitary gland, because of its tropic hormones, is called master gland. Now we will discuss which hormones are produced by anterior lobe of pituitary gland and which hormones are produced by the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. As I already have told you that anterior lobe of pituitary gland is called adenohypophysis and posterior lobe of pituitary gland is called neurohypophysis. Many hormones are produced by adenohypophysis, but in your book there are written just two: growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone. Just these two are mentioned in your book, but actually adenohypophysis or anterior lobe of pituitary gland produces too many hormones. Neurohypophysis produces many hormones, out of which just two are mentioned in your book, and those are antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin and oxytocin. First we will discuss about growth hormone from adenohypophysis. Growth hormone is also called somatotropin. The function of growth hormone is growth. It increases growth. Somato means body. Tropin means increasing. A hormone which increases the size of the body as a whole and the body of the organs, means which results in increase in growth. That hormone is called growth hormone. It is produced by adenohypophysis. If growth hormone is produced within growing age too much, there will be too much growth of the person, and this condition is called gigantism. Gigantism by word means, it literally means too tall. Too much tall is called a gigant. From gigant, the term gigantism is taken. Being gigant is called gigantism, and it is because of too much production of growth hormone, increased production of growth hormone within growing age. Too much growth hormone during growing age, which is at maximum 28 years. We grow, our bones and other parts keep on growing until it is 28 years, and when within these years there is increased production of growth hormone, the person becomes too much tall, which is called gigantism. If there is more production of growth hormone, gigantism results. But if there is under production of if there is under production of growth hormone during growing age, the affected person doesn't grow too much. He remains actually too short than his age. This and exactly opposite to the gigantism is called dwarfism. Dwarfism means being dwarf. Dwarf means being too much short stature. When the length or size of the body is too much small, about 4 feet, maximum 4 feet, it is called, the person is called dwarf, and being dwarf is a condition known as dwarfism, and it is because of too less growth hormone during growing age. Both conditions are serious but not very much common. Now we will discuss what if or what will happen if growth hormone is produced in increased amounts after growing age. Then the condition is called acromegaly. Acromegaly results in elongation of hands, feet, arms, or toes, fingers, etc. Acromegaly results in increase in these body parts, not in the increase of the body size or body length as a whole. Acromegaly happens when growth hormone is increased in its production after growing age. Too much growth hormone after growing age mean after usually 28 years of age for most of the people. If there is an increased production of growth hormone, the person will be an acromegalan, meaning the person will be affected by acromegaly, in which just some parts of the body or the person affected with the acromegaly will be increased in size. So acromegaly and gigantism are somehow related, but the difference is acromegaly affects just some parts of the body. It results in elongation of some parts of the body like hands, feet, arms, or toes and fingers. But gigantism affects all parts of the body, in which all the parts of the body elongate too much than the normal. And now we will discuss another hormone of adenohypophysis or anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. That another hormone of the adenohypophysis is thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone. As the name shows, this hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to produce its hormones. TSH is a tropic hormone of anterior lobe of pituitary gland, and it is tropic because thyroid stimulating hormone targets thyroid gland. Thyroid gland will not work. Thyroid gland will not function until it receives TSH from anterior lobe of pituitary gland or from adenohypophysis. The working of thyroid gland depends upon the reaching of thyroid stimulating hormone on or near or in the thyroid gland. On receiving the thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroid gland starts to produce its hormones. These are the two hormones of adenohypophysis, TSH and GH. Now we will talk about the hormones of neurohypophysis mentioned in your book, which are ADH and oxytocin. First, ADH we will talk about. ADH is an abbreviation of anti-diuretic hormone, and ADH is also called vasopressin. It is also called arginine or arginopressin, but this name is used in your book. Vasopressin or ADH is a hormone whose target is targets nephron, mean the target of antidiuretic hormone is nephron or kidney. Both mean the same. When ADH reaches nephron increases water reabsorption. The function of ADH is to increase water reabsorption across nephron or in the kidney. And when it is done, when there is an increase in the water reabsorption, it is when summer season. In summer season, in summer days or in hot days, when there is increased sweating, when there is too much loss of water through sweating, body starts to, neurohypophysis starts to produce antidiuretic hormone, which as a result on reaching nephron increases water absorption. And water absorption means keeping retention of the water inside the body. During water absorption, water is taken into blood and it is not lost from the blood. To conserve the water, because too much water is being lost through sweat, there is an increased need to conserve the water. Other hormone of neurohypophysis is oxytocin. Oxytocin is an important hormone of posterior lobe of pituitary gland. It is also called love hormone because this hormone controls feelings of love and hate. It controls the emotions. By controlling emotions, it is given the name of love hormone in common uses. But in the world of science and farming, oxytocin is a very much important hormone of neurohypophysis. The function of oxytocin is to help in contraction of uterus. When a female is giving birth to her baby, the uterus of female contracts to exert pressure on the baby so that it can easily be pushed out. And this contraction of uterus is done by oxytocin. Means oxytocin helps in birth of the baby. And it may also be called labor. Other function of oxytocin is release of milk from mammary glands. Mammary glands are exocrine glands. They produce milk, and this milk comes out of the mammary gland. It is released, the milk is released from mammary glands because of oxytocin. Next topic is thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is also an important endocrine gland after pituitary gland. It is known as thyroid gland is known as largest gland in the body because of its size. It is the largest endocrine gland. When we talk about gland only, whether it is exocrine or endocrine, then the largest gland in the body is pancreas. But when we talk only about endocrine glands, then thyroid gland is the largest gland in the body. It is situated in the neck, just behind larynx. The hormones produced by thyroid gland are thyroxine and calcitonin. Thyroid gland requires intake of iodine to produce its hormones, thyroxine and calcitonin. But if due to any reason this iodine is not available to thyroid gland will not work and increase in size. This condition, this problem related to the thyroid gland, swelling in the thyroid gland, increase in size of the thyroid gland in the neck region. This condition is called goiter. Increase in the size of thyroid gland, swelling in the thyroid gland, hanging of the neck region where thyroid gland is situated is called goiter. It is because of deficiency of iodine. What if iodine is provided to the thyroid gland? If iodine is provided to the thyroid gland will function properly. It will produce its hormone thyroxine and calcitonin. But one thing more to tell you about thyroid gland. Before it starts to produce its hormones, thyroid gland doesn't require only iodine. It also requires a hormone from pituitary gland, that is thyroid stimulating hormone. Without any of these, iodine and thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroid gland will never function. If these two are provided to thyroid gland, only then thyroid gland will produce its hormones. Now we come to the functions of the hormones produced by thyroid gland. Thyroxine, a hormone of thyroid gland, is involved in body metabolism or energy production. The function of thyroid glands thyroxine, the function of the thyroxine from thyroid gland is energy production, or in other words metabolism. Before we go into the details of the other hormone calcitonin, first we consider thyroxine in detail. If thyroxine is produced in more than normal amount, there will be more than normal energy production or metabolism in the body. This condition is called hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism means overactive thyroid gland. Thyroid gland becomes overactive when there is more overproduction, more production of thyroxine. When thyroxine is produced in more abundance, more amount, then body's metabolism will be fast. There will be high than normal metabolism, high energy production, high heart rate, high BP, high blood pressure, high breathing rate. All these changes in the body will cause the energy to be dissipated, to be lost, and when the energy will be in more than normal amount, it will also change the temperature above normal. Temperature will also be increased, and increase in temperature will cause the enzymes to denature, and with all these changes body reactions will not occur normally, and there may be serious complications. On contrary with the hyperthyroidism, as an opposite to the hyperthyroidism is hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism means when thyroxine is produced in less amount, underproduction of thyroxine is called hypothyroidism. When thyroxine will be produced less than it is required, metabolism will be slow, temperature will be lower than the normal, and heart rate will also be low, and blood pressure will also be low, low blood pressure. All these changes will make you, or will make the person who is suffering from hypothyroidism very much inactive or lazy. The other hormone, the calcitonin from thyroid gland, has the function to store, to deposit calcium into bones. Calcitonin takes the calcium which is present in the blood and deposits it or stores it into the bones. So, calcitonin plays an important role in formation and development of bones. Our next topic is parathyroid gland. Para means on the top of, thyroid gland means thyroid gland. Parathyroid gland are smaller glands than thyroid gland, and there are 4 parathyroid glands present on top of thyroid gland. All of these 4 parathyroid glands produce a hormone called parathormone or parathyroid hormone, or in short PTH. The function of parathyroid gland is to regulate calcium ions in blood in antagonism to the action of calcitonin, which regulates the calcium ions in the bones. Parathyroid from parathyroid gland is produced when we are eating the food which is deficient in calcium. When we are eating that food which does not contain calcium ions, then the calcium which is stored in the bones is released by the action of PTH into blood. Parathyroid hormone or parathormone releases calcium from bones into blood. The bad effect of this problem is bones become brittle or weak. It may result in osteoporosis, which is a bone disease, bone disorder, in which bones become brittle and very much weak. But if parathormone is not produced by parathyroid gland, then blood calcium level will be too less, and when blood calcium level is too less, then a disorder or nervous system occurs, which is tetany. It is a muscular disorder, and it is because of less calcium ions in the blood. When calcium ions concentration is reduced in the blood, then PTH is produced. Actually, PTH never allows the concentration of calcium in the blood to less, nor it increases to more, because as soon as the concentration of calcium ions in the blood starts to increase, there will be the production of calcitonin, which will store excess of calcium ions into the bones. And when there will be any lack or deficiency of the calcium ions in the blood, then parathyroid gland will release the stored calcium in the bones into the blood to avoid tetany. Tetany is a muscular disorder, and in tetany, muscular twitching is characterized. Sudden uncontrolled movement of the muscles is tetany. Our next topic is adrenal glands. Ad means attached to, or related to, or connected to, or on the top of. And renal means kidneys. Gland means here endocrine gland. Adrenal gland is the gland which is present on the top of kidney. Because we have two kidneys, we have two adrenal glands, and one adrenal gland is present on the tip of one kidney, and second on the top of other kidney. As our kidney consists of two parts, cortex and medulla. Similarly, adrenal gland also consists of two parts: adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex. Adrenal medulla is the inner portion of adrenal gland and adrenal cortex is the outer external portion of the adrenal gland. The hormone which is produced by adrenal medulla are two. Adrenal medulla produces two hormones, but in your book just one hormone of adrenal medulla is mentioned. And this hormone of adrenal medulla is epinephrine, which is also called adrenaline. Adrenaline in colloquial language, in common language, is called power hormone, energy hormone, or also emergency hormone. This hormone, epinephrine or adrenaline, also called emergency hormone because it is produced under emergency in urgent conditions. For example, you are walking by a road and suddenly you see a snake very close to you. You are too much frightened and you know how to fight with the snake or how to fly from the snake. In this condition, your sympathetic nervous system is activated, which increases the blood flow towards arms and muscles and make you enough energetic to deal with the situation of fight or flight. Sympathetic nervous system, along with the help from adrenal gland, in particular adrenal medulla or epinephrine, to cope with, to fight with these emergencies, with these urgent conditions. Sympathetic nervous system without epinephrine or epinephrine without sympathetic nervous system will never work. So epinephrine works with the sympathetic nervous system to deal with emergencies. This increases the heart rate, the breathing rate, body metabolism, blood flow towards muscles to prepare with the fighting or flighting from emergency. The opposite hormone of adrenal medulla is norepinephrine, also called noradrenaline. This hormone works along with parasympathetic nervous system. It works with sympathetic nervous system and it works with parasympathetic nervous system and elicits rest and digest response. It relieves, it fulfills the deficiency of the energy which happened during the action of epinephrine in dealing with emergencies. The other part of the adrenal gland called adrenal cortex produces many hormones which are collectively called corticosteroids. The function of corticosteroids is to maintain the concentration of salt and fluids, in particular water, in the body. Means corticosteroids are the hormones which maintain the osmoregulation in body, and there are many types of the corticosteroid like androgens, etc. Our next topic is pancreas. Pancreas is not only an endocrine gland, it is also an exocrine gland. In short, pancreas is also known as a double gland because it functions both as an endocrine gland and an exocrine gland. It is two in one. The major part of the pancreas is exocrine gland, and say it is about 80% of the function of pancreas is exocrine. What is the exocrine function of the pancreas? Pancreas produces a digestive juice called pancreatic juice, which contains usually three types of the enzymes: trypsin, pancreatic amylase, and pancreatic lipase, which help in the digestion of protein, lipids, and proteins, protein, lipids, and carbohydrates. But we have to discuss here just the endocrine function. About 20% of the pancreas is endocrine, and being endocrine, some specialized cells present in the pancreas are endocrine, and these are called islets of Langerhans. Islets of the Langerhans are endocrine portion of pancreas, and they are scattered in the structure of pancreas. They are spread in patches on the pancreas. Islets of Langerhans, being endocrine, produce two types of the hormones. One hormone of the islets of the Langerhans is glucagon, and other hormone, the second hormone of islets of Langerhans or pancreas, that is insulin. The function of the glucagon is to regulate, to increase the concentration of in blood. Glucagon targets liver to release glucagon in blood. As an opposite, insulin is produced and targets liver to store glucose from blood into it. Means insulin reduces the concentration of glucose in the blood, and glucagon increases the concentration of the glucose in the blood. These two are antagonistic to each other. The reduction in the production of one will cause overproduction or increase in the production of the other. They mutually help to maintain the homeostasis of the glucose in the blood. They never let glucose in blood to be less than normal or more than normal. But if due to any problem, it is called diabetes mellitus. When insulin is produced in less amount, and glucagon is produced in more amount, there will be more than normal concentration of glucose in the blood, which is called diabetes mellitus. This problem results in weight loss, loss of hunger, loss of appetite, and it is very much serious problem. But insulin can be available from the market, from the pharmacies, and it can replace the natural insulin produced in the body. Our next topic is gonads. Gonads are also called reproductive organs. There are two types of gonads: male gonads, which are also called testes, and female gonads, which are also called ovaries. Male gonads or testes produce a hormone called testosterone. The function of testosterone are two: the primary function and secondary function. Primary function of testosterone is to produce sperms, and secondary function of testosterone is to control secondary sexual characteristics. Secondary sexual characteristics are the characteristics of a gender which is characteristic of that gender. For example, males are characterized by, identified by, recognized by the absence of breasts. Females have their breasts large, but males have no enlarged breasts, and this absence of breasts is the secondary sexual characteristics. Man is known by absence of breasts. Another secondary sexual characteristic is coarseness of voice. Males have deeper voice, harder voice, or coarse voice, which is easily recognized as a characteristic of males. Female gonads or ovaries serve as endocrine function in females, and there are two functions of ovaries. Primary function of ovaries is to produce eggs or ova, and secondary function of ovaries is to control secondary sexual characteristics of females. And what are secondary sexual characteristics of females? These include enlargement of breast. Females have big breasts, and secondary sexual characteristics of female is delicate, high frequency, ear piercing voice. The voice of females is having a less hardness, it is soft and narrow and somewhat noisy, which is characteristic of females, secondary sexual characteristics. There are many other secondary sexual characteristics also, like broadening in the hip girdle, which in compared to males is shortening in hip girdle, which aids in the birth or labor in females. Which hormones produced by ovaries? Ovaries produce two types of hormones, progesterone and estrogen. These two hormones of females perform both primary and secondary functions of female gonads called ovaries. Means these two hormones help in production of egg as well as in controlling the secondary sexual characteristics in females. Progesterone and estrogen also help in the maintenance and regulation of pregnancy in females. Our next topic is feedback mechanism. Hormones are not continuously produced. They are regulated by a feedback mechanism. And feedback mechanism means response of body or a part of body towards a hormone. Usually there is two type of feedback. Two type of the responses are shown against a hormone. Positive feedback and negative feedback. Positive feedback is characterized by when output of the process increases the input. For example, hormone oxytocin releases milk from milk glands. When baby is sucking the milk from mother, there will be a continuous increase in oxytocin. In this case, oxytocin is input and milk is output. When output comes, there will be an increase in oxytocin, the input. When the product of the system, in case of endocrine glands hormones, stimulate the self production, it is called positive feedback. Body responses positively in case of positive feedback. Negative feedback is opposite to positive feedback. In negative feedback, The output of process stops or inhibits the input. For example, glucagon increases concentration of glucose in blood. When there is little or very much less glucose in blood, glucagon is produced, which releases glucose stored in liver into the blood. But as with the production of glucagon, there is an increase in glucose concentration in the blood. Glucose concentration starts to rise in the blood. If it reaches more than normal, when the concentration of glucose is near reaching more than normal, then the production of glucagon is reduced and pancreas starts to produce insulin. This hormone will decrease glucose in blood. The increase of glucose, which is output, caused a decrease in glucose and an increase in insulin. But too much decrease in glucose in the blood, which is an output, caused a decrease in insulin and increase in the glucagon. Such a feedback is negative feedback, in which output reduces the input. Our next topic is disorders of nervous system. Disorders of nervous system are of two types: structural disorders and functional disorders. Structural disorders are due to damage to nervous system, in particular central nervous system, and functional disorders are due to loss of function of nervous system. Example of structural disorder is paralysis. Paralysis means complete loss of a muscle or muscles. When one type of muscle or a group of muscle stops to function completely, it is called paralysis. The main causes of paralysis include head trauma, head stroke, or rupture in blood vessel supplying brain. Head trauma means an attack on head. When someone attacks you on head, it is called head trauma. Head stroke means rupturing in the blood vessels in the brain, and rupturing means bursting of the blood vessels. Also, polio virus may result in paralysis. Paralysis may be in one muscle or a group of muscle. Means paralysis may be in one side of body or in both sides of body. Paralysis may be upper half of the body or it may be in lower half of the body. Paralysis may also be in both arms, both legs, or in all four limbs. Means it may attack at the same time both arms and legs. Or in severe case, paralysis may be in whole body. There is no known treatment to paralysis. Now we talk about functional disorder of nervous system. Functional disorder of nervous system include those disorders in which loss of function of nervous system is faced. Epilepsy is a functional disorder of nervous system. In epilepsy, the movement of the bodies are not under control and it is characterized by unprovoked seizures. Unprovoked means without stimulus. Seizure means sudden, uncontrolled convulsion or fix. For example, when you take a piece of a spoon or your finger into the mouth of a patient suffering from epilepsy, the patient takes or considers it as his food, and although he doesn't want to cut your finger or cut the spoon, but he does so. There is no stimulus of food, but the patient is showing the seizures or response. It is due to abnormal discharge of nerve impulse. When nerve impulse is produced by certain nerves of the body, then the movement of that body part is not under control and there is a continuous response to a stimulus which is no more in the environment. That is epilepsy. Abnormal discharge of nerve impulse resulting in unprovoked seizures is called epilepsy. Usually epilepsy is genetic, and when epilepsy is due to genetic, it can happen at any age. People over 40 years of age are more affected with epilepsy. Means aging or age also is an important factor in contribution to epilepsy. Epilepsy can never be treated, but to control seizures, certain drugs are used. These drugs are called anti-epileptic or anti-seizure drugs.